welcome back to yoga class. Today we are going to focus on restoring. So we'll take the time to think about what props we're going to need for our practice. I've got a couple blocks, a blanket, and a bolster. I recommend all of these. If you don't have a bolster, remember you can use a pillow or a couple of pillows depending on what size you need. We're going to do all of the postures today reclined or grounded. So sometimes we might be kneeling, but we're not going to do any standing poses since we're going to be focusing on deeper relaxation. Now, because the restorative style maintains longer holds, I recommend getting a timer or simply having your phone set beside you. I would recommend turning your data and your Wi-Fi off so that you're not distracted by any messages that are coming in, that you can really just have this time to focus on yourself and relaxation. But go ahead and get your device, get your phone, get your timer, whatever it is, have it near you, because when we come into the postures, I'm gonna have you set the amount of time that I recommend, or as a different option, you can set the time for something that feels more appropriate for you. Some of you are gonna want to stay longer. In restorative, I recommend 8 to 11 minutes per posture. That's gonna be very personal. So everyone is gonna be able to decide how long you wanna stay in each posture. That way, this practice is personalized for each of you, and the portion that you're seeing me is demonstrating what the posture setup looks like and what props are gonna go along with that. So know that as the class goes on, you're gonna have spaces where you pause, and then you're gonna put the timer on your device and stay for as long as you would like. So starting our practice today, and if you don't have your timer and your props, go ahead and pause now, set yourself up. And now that we have all of our things, we're gonna start our practice today in a reclined position. We're gonna come into some belly breathing. So as you come into your reclined position, go ahead and lay on your back, connecting your spine, your shoulders, your head down to the mat. Now, some of you are going to want to lengthen the legs as if you're coming into Shavasana. Some of you are going to want to start some gentle hip opening. So you might come into Baddha Konasana legs, bending your knees, bringing the soles of the feet together. Tuck your chin towards your chest, lengthening the back of the neck. If you notice that there's tension in your legs, you can place your blocks underneath your thighs to support your legs. That way you're not holding tension. You're using the blocks to bring the floor up to you. Now your arms can stay by your sides, or coming into belly breathing, your hands can come onto your belly. I like to position my index fingers and thumbs together, the space between my hands, just above my belly button. Now as you inhale, feel your belly pressing to your hands. And as you exhale, let the belly soften. Belly breathing, take a few more rounds here. With each round of breath, feeling expansion in the torso, feeling the belly rise with the inhalation, letting go, sigh of relief with the exhalation. Settle in to the mat, to this pose. Continue to stay here with your breath. Make any adjustments you need to at any time for your legs. stay as you are if you found something that works for you. Practicing lengthening the breath. Take a deep inhalation all the way to the top of the breath, all the way until you can't take in any more air. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. 2 more rounds in this way. One more round. If your knees are splayed open, take your hands to the outer thighs, guide the knees together. Lift your feet off the mat, open the knees wide, and then lift the soles of your feet up towards the ceiling. Take your hands to grab onto the outside of your feet, your ankles, or the back of your knees. Notice here that if you're grabbing the outside of your feet and your tailbone lifts, you're going to want to set the tailbone down. So hands come to the ankles. The tailbone is still lifted, then the hands come back to the knees. Find what your body needs. Tailbone presses down. With the soles of the feet facing up to the ceiling, the hands are pulling the feet or the legs down, and at the same time the feet are pressing up. Feel the opening in the hips. And then if you want to explore a deeper stretch for the legs, keeping both hands connected, straighten one leg. You'll feel a stretch at the hamstring, maybe even in the calf muscle. Bend that knee, and then straighten the opposite leg. If the tailbone lifted, send it back down. If it's available, maybe you straighten both legs at the same time. If that doesn't feel good, you can come back to bent knees. And then you can decide if you want to rock from side to side, giving yourself a nice little massage on your back. Wherever you are, find your way to center. Release your hands, bring your knees together, open your arms out to the sides. Position your wrists in line with your shoulders. Position your knees above your hips and your ankles in line with your knees. Now look up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale breath. As you exhale, move both knees to the left. Keep the right shoulder down. Inhale, lift both knees up to center. Exhale, take both knees to the right. Keep the left shoulder down. And again, inhale, knees rise up. Exhale, knees to the left. Both shoulders stay down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, knees to the right. Both shoulders stay down. Inhale, lift the knees to center. Exhale, knees to the left. Now this time we're going to stay a little longer. As your knees move over to the left, your left hand can gently rest on the top of the right thigh. Keep the right shoulder down and then turn to look to the right. If that does not feel good in your neck, you can face the ceiling. And here you can decide if you want to stay in the spinal twist longer. If so, go ahead and set your timer for 4 minutes. If you're ready to move on, and when you're ready to move on, you'll release the left hand off the right thigh, send it back out, grounding down. Inhale, lift both knees up. Feel your back roll onto the mat. And then exhale, take the knees over to the right. Both shoulders stay down. Turn your head to look to the left. Here, the right hand can gently rest on the outside of the left thigh. Noticing if you feel discomfort in your neck, you can turn your head to face up to the ceiling. Notice the sensation in the spine. Now decide if you want to stay here longer. I recommend, if you did on the other side, to go ahead and set your timer for 4 minutes on this side. If and when you're ready to come out, you'll release the right hand, reach it out, grounding it down. Inhale, the knees come up. Exhale, feel the back connecting to the mat. Two options of how we're going to come onto our seat. We can bring our hands underneath our knees, rocking up and down our back, finding some momentum to come onto our seat. Or from a reclined position, you can roll out to one side. Once you come onto your seat, you'll separate the legs. Open the legs as wide as you comfortably can without the knees popping up. Okay, so when we take our fingers, there's a natural lift behind the knees, but we don't want the thighs, the hamstrings, and the calf muscles disconnecting. The feet are going to be relaxed. You don't need to point and you don't need to flex. Just let the feet be relaxed. If you're set up the way that I am, and this is uncomfortable to have your heels on the floor, you can rotate so that you're using the length of your mat for your legs. Coming into a wide-legged forward fold. As you inhale, lift the crown of your head up. And as you exhale, walk your hands forward. Feel the stretch intensify in the legs, the inner thighs, the hamstrings, the hips. Some of you will stay on your hands. Some of you might come onto your forearms. Some of you might need a little propping. So you might decide to take your blocks to support your forearms. You can put the blocks at whatever height you'd like. You can also use a bolster here if you'd like something a little more cushy. If you let your head and your neck rest down, then you can also get flexion for your spine, so that you're decompressing and stretching the back muscles. Once you find the setup that works for you, you'll set your timer and stay in this posture anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes. And once you're finished with this posture, on an inhale breath, you lift your head up, crown of the head all the way up to the ceiling. Find that straight spine. Take your hands under your knees, bend your knees, gently guide the feet towards each other. Coming into Agni Stambhasana, double fire log. We've got some options for setup here. For the double fire log, you're stacking one leg on top of the other. You want your shins parallel to the top of the mat. If there's a little space between your top knee and your bottom ankle, that's okay. As you fold forward, that gap is going to lower down. Ideally, you want your ankle in line with your knee on both the top leg and the bottom leg. When you look in your lap, you'll see an upside down triangle. If this is way too much for your hips, then you can take the reclined option, or reclined figure 4, where you can reach the hand of the bent knee between the legs, opposite hand around the other thigh, and then interlace the fingers. Here you can pull the thigh towards your body. Or for a different variation of hands free, upper body being passive, you can press your foot to the wall. This way, shinnying closer to the wall, you can get deep into the hip stretch, but without pulling with your hands. So 3 different options there. And these are all options that we've explored in class together. So find the one, take your time, play around with it. Today's a new day. You might want an option today that you didn't realize. You might want an option you haven't tried. You might want the option that you've practiced the most. This is going to be personal for all of you. So once you find that deep hip opening shape for your body today, place your hands outside of your legs. Inhale, lift the crown of your head up. Exhale, fold forward. Maybe you walk your hands forward. Keep your seat connected. If at any point the hips rise up and disconnect, then you've gone a little too far. Coming back to flexion for the spine. Lower down as much as is available in order to feel a deep stretch, but not to the point of pain or major discomfort. Stay in the pose. Set your timer here for 4 minutes on this side. Know that at any time in your practice, if you need to modify, if you need to find a different option, you're welcome to do so. This is your practice. You know your body the best. Once your 4 minutes is up on this side, we're simply going to set up for the other side. Switching up the legs, whether you're seated and you're stacking the legs, or coming into the recline position, recline figure 4, or recline figure 4 with the wall assist. Take your time to set it up. And once you feel that you're set up, set your timer for 4 minutes on this side. Slowly come in to feel sensation and take your time to work towards your fullest expression. Now once the 4 minutes is up on both sides, carefully come out. Bending both knees, taking soles of the feet to the mat. Take your hands behind you, setting up your kickstands. And then just rock the knees from side to side like windshield wipers on the car. Just releasing any tension from the hips. And then bring the knees to one side, coming into a kneeling position, setting up for tabletop. Bring your wrist under your shoulders. Spread the fingers wide. Knees under the hips. Space between the feet. We're going to flow between extension and flexion for the spine. On the inhale breath, lowering the belly towards the mat. Feel the tailbone lift up. And then exhale, lower the tailbone, lift your back. Create space between the shoulder blades. Inhale, soften the belly, lower it down towards the mat. Exhale, lift your back. The arms stay straight as you transition between inhales and exhales. Really let your movement be exaggerated. Take one more. And then find a neutral tabletop position. Enjoy a round of breath here. And for the next posture, you might need a blanket, you might need a bolster, you might need both. We're setting up for child's pose. One option for child's pose could be to open the knees the width of the mat, bring the big toes together, and bring your hips down to your heels. For a supported child's pose, you can take the short end of the bolster between the thighs and then lower down, laying your belly and your chest onto the bolster and just taking your head to one side. Focusing more on hip opening. If your hips are pretty open, you might not want the bolster today. You might bring your forehead all the way down to the mat with your arms extended forward, fingertips to the top of the mat. Now, if your preference is to focus on the low back, then the knees will come together, feet together. In this variation, the arms are by your sides, forehead down to the mat or to a block. In either one of these postures, if your hips don't meet your heels, you can position a blanket to fill that gap. Whichever option you choose for your child's pose today, allow yourself 5 to 7 minutes. Once your timer goes off, we'll continue on. And continuing on to our next posture, we're coming into a supported fish pose. So fish pose is when we have our legs down and we have our chest lifted. If you're not familiar with that posture, I'm going to show it to you. The legs are extended and the legs are together. The hands come underneath the glutes, and then the upper arms and the chest lift, crown of the head to the mat. Shoulder blades slide together, chest is open. Because this is a restorative class, rather than holding ourselves up, we're going to use the props to do that. This is going to look different for each of you. Some of you that carry a lot of stress between the shoulder blades really like the option of taking one block at the mid-height so that the spine of the block is directly underneath your spine. For those of you that have neck issues, it feels really good to have the second block support your head. So it might be at the same height, it might be a lower height, or it might be a higher height. In this variation, I recommend holding onto the block, positioning your mid to upper back, not your low back, not your neck, onto the spine of the block. Lower the legs down, open the arms. Now I want to go a little deeper, so rather than have the highest height of the block, I'm going to take it to the lowest height. This way I can open my chest more, and then when I open my arms out to the sides, I get a shoulder stretch and a chest opener. Some of you might even want to position the corners of the block right at the shoulder blades. Now, for some of us, that might be a little too intense. So another option we can take is to place the bolster behind the back of the heart space. Again, we might or might not want to use a block to support the head. If we're using this option, we think about placing the shoulder blades on the bolster or the pillow and then taking the head back to the block. Remember, you can play with the height of the block. This is a heart opener. This type of position makes us feel vulnerable. It can be difficult to open up our hearts depending on what we're going through. So for those of you that might be feeling resistance in this option, I'd like to offer you another propping. You can take your blanket and you can roll your blanket, and then the blanket can go underneath the upper back and the head down to the mat. This will be the least invasive feeling option. Decide how you want your legs to be positioned. Whatever feels the best is the best option for you today. Once you've played around with all of the options and you find the one that feels best for your practice today, you're gonna set your timer for 11 whole minutes in this pose. Once your 11 minutes is up, coming back to our next posture, and this is actually our last one before we come into Shavasana. This is what I like to call banana. We start in what looks like Shavasana pose. Open the heels to the corners of the mat. Maybe take some ankle circles, drawing circles with your big toes. First in one direction and then opposite direction. And then let the heels come back down. Take a breath here. Keep the right heel at the right corner of the mat. Lift your left foot, cross the left ankle above the right. Bring your arms overhead. See if your hands can reach for your elbows. If not, maybe your hands reach for your forearms or your wrist. So you're framing your head with your arms and you're keeping your shoulders down. Now you might already feel a stretch in the left side body. To go deeper, you can bring your arms towards your feet. So the arms and the feet are moving to the right. Feel the deep opening on the left. Some of you might want the alternate ankle cross, keeping both feet to the right, just taking the right ankle on top of the left. In my body, I can feel a deeper stretch. Try that in your body, and then stay with the option that works best for you. Focus on keeping both shoulders down and both hips down. Set your timer for 4 minutes on this side. After your 4 minutes is up, we'll come into the other side. First, coming out slowly and carefully, bringing the arms to center. Unhooking the cross at the ankles, taking the left heel back to the left corner of the mat. Take a breath. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. Lift your right foot. Cross the right ankle above the left ankle. Decide if this is enough for you. Or maybe you take the arms over to the left, as if the left elbow is trying to meet the feet. Send the shoulders down. Feel the stretch in the right side. Try the alternate ankle cross on this side, bringing the left ankle above the right. Give a full round of breath to feel into this option. And then stick with the option that feels best to you today. Set your timer for 4 minutes. And once your 4 minutes is up, slowly come out. Bring your arms to center. Uncross the ankles. Take the right heel back to the right corner of the mat. Bring your arms out to the sides. Position your body in the shape of a star. Take a deep inhalation through your nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. And now setting up for our final posture of relaxation. I'm gonna grab onto the bolster and a blanket. For those of you that need support for your low back, you're gonna be most comfortable taking the bolster or blocks underneath the knees, getting a lift here, being able to press the low back down. And as you settle your body down onto the mat, onto the props, you might even want to open up your blanket, giving yourself time in this relaxation pose. We're going to be here for 10 full minutes. As you come into this relaxation pose, take any movement you need to get the wiggles out. Maybe rock your head from side to side a couple times. And then let your eyes close. And setting the timer for 10 full minutes in our relaxation pose. Giving ourselves time to integrate all of the opening that we've done throughout class today. And pause the video and press play again after your 10 minutes. Now that the 10 minutes is over, we'll slowly come out, taking your feet to the bolster or lifting them up. Hugging the knees into the chest, pressing the low back into the mat. And then rolling over to whichever side you'd like. Coming into the fetal pose, posture of new beginnings. Taking a moment to notice how your body feels now at the end of your practice. Taking a moment to notice any intention you'd like to take with you into the rest of your day, rest of your week, or even this month. With the eyes closed, visualizing this intention as you move forward. Keeping the gaze inward, the eyes closed. Use your top hand to press you up to a comfortable seated position. And as you come into your comfortable seat, straighten the spine with the crown of the head up. Position the shoulders above the hips. Ears above the shoulders, as if you're pressing your entire back and head up against a wall. Relax the arms. Rotate the palms facing up as an intention of receiving. Inhale, feel the chest expand. Exhale, let go. Inhale, breathing into the top of the breath. Exhale, let it go, let it go. Inhale again all the way to the top of the breath. Exhale, open your mouth, take a sigh of relief. If you'd like to join me as we close our practice, you can bring your palms together, thumbs to the heart center. Taking one more round of your breath, closing our practice for today. Know that this practice is always here for you to use, to modify in any way that you'd like. If you're short on time, you can run through the practice with just a few rounds of breath in each pose. If you have time for the yin style, you can take each posture for 3 to 5 minutes. And if you really have a big chunk of time to dedicate to your practice on any given day, you can come into each of these poses for 8 to 11 minutes. Enjoy creating and adapting in your way. Thank you for joining me and for being open to this practice. The light in me sees, honors, and recognizes the light within each of you. Namaste.